Hello everyone, I'm Sue Rogers and I'm the founder of Natural Wellbeing with Plants. And today I want to share with you another of my favourite plant books. It's called the Hedgerow Handbook, Recipes, Remedies and Rituals by Adele Nozedar. Now, the reason I've chosen this book, which is a relatively new book for me, my husband bought it for me for my birthday last year, is it isn't just the ordinary foraging book. It talks about the history of hedgerows, which are particularly distinct to the United Kingdom. It also has the most beautiful hand-drawn illustrations, as we'll see. But I wanted to go through it with you on some of the more interesting of the herbs. Now, when I went through the list, I thought I'll choose plants that you wouldn't normally think about. So the very first one I came to that had some really interesting facts was blackberries. Okay, fine. You normally have them in crumbles, but did you know that it is bad luck to pick blackberries after the 10th of October because the evening before the devil will have spat on the bush? So something to be wary of. But also, as I've said, it's got the most beautiful illustrations. Interesting recipe here, which I wouldn't have thought of myself, was chili and blackberry syrup, which I think would be a nice addition to putting on pancakes over ice cream. Gives it a bit of a kick. So that was the first herb I've looked out for you. The second one is feverfew. I mean, this is something that can grow in the garden, but it is very invasive. It's very widespread. It's got the most beautiful little white daisy flowers you can see from the illustration. It has a sort of a chrysanthemum look about it. The herb, the leaves themselves you can actually chew, but they're very good for reducing fever. And as it says, feverfew. But you can put them in a cake. It also helps dilate your blood vessels. So again, the warning with all herbs, you should be very careful if you are taking any other medication. But this is a very pretty little flower, and it's one that you don't normally see in foraging books. The next one I've chosen for is, you might actually think of this more as a garden plant, really, honeysuckle. Now, if you've ever picked a honeysuckle flower and sucked on it, you do get the most delightful sweet taste. Again, honeysuckle has salicylic acid in it, which is what's in aspirin. So it's very good for, it's anti-inflammatory, it's a pain relief. So you can make it into a tea, into an infusion. And the recipe in here is to make it into a sorbet. Now that's something I'm definitely going to try this summer. The next one, very, very different. I thought it was important to include a tree, and perhaps a tree that just epitomizes in the United Kingdom. And this is the oak. Now, the oak, you can make a decoction from the bark. Now, decoction really is just when, because the plant is more woody, you have to boil it rather than just infusing it. All the goodness won't come out of it just from infusing it. It has to be boiled, and that can take an hour. So that's what a decoction is. But a decoction of oak bark is very good for your throat. But did you know you can also make oak leaf liqueur? Okay, you need a bottle of vodka to get it started. And the other one is oak schnapps. Now, oak schnapps, you actually have to take small branches, cut into them, stick them in a bottle of vodka, leave it for a year if you can, and watch it go the most gorgeous golden colour. And then you then still have to leave it for another 6 months before you can actually try. So if you're into schnapps, oak schnapps is perhaps one that you could try. Now, the next one is very common, sloes. Now, I have my own bottle of Sloe Gin here. This is this year's brew. This is actually a gift for someone. Yeah, Sloe Gin is very common, but a couple of the recipes in here is, what do you do with all those beautifully infused sloes, gin infused sloes, I should say? What you don't want to just throw them away. So what the recipe in here suggests is you add them with some nuts and you make some chocolates. Now, I have to say, I did do this. It does require the patience of Job because they are incredibly fiddly. My cherry stoner didn't work, so I'm going to see if I can find a smaller one, because life really is too short to be stoning sloes. But the other thing that I also did with my stone sloes is I added them to my mincemeat to make my mince pies, and they gave my mince pies a really lovely kick. So the last herb in my book is yarrow. Now this is so widespread. It's Achillea millefolium. Now millefolium means 1,000 leaves. It's got these beautiful fine feathery leaves. Yarrow is known as a wound herb. It's a staunch weed, so it stops the flow of blood. And what you do is you chew the leaves, which is a little bit bitter, and then you put it on your wound and it stops the bleeding. And legend has it that Achillea, that famous, was he Greek? I think so. Greek warrior, he used this on his soldiers, and that's how he won his wars, because it stopped the bleeding. Now, you can also make a yarrow beer. It's more of a yarrow beer lemonade type drink, although I have heard in some books that it can cause hallucinations, so perhaps that's something to be a little bit wary of. They don't reference that in here. But this is such a beautiful book. I have to say, I never take this out with me when I am foraging. I have some more practical books like that because this is just too nice, too pretty, but it's one that I keep going back to, and the more I forage, the more I'll be using the recipes. So do enjoy it. If you have any foraging recipes that you would like to share, then please let me know.